a wonderful pleasure to meet with you. And like I was saying before, as I always like to start with the same question, the audience may not know who you are. We'd love to hear about your career journey to being the co-founder and CEO of iFocus Health.
Thank you very much, Bill, and thank you and the HITLAB team for having me here. It's always an honor. Uh, so I'm before being a CEO of iFocus, I have a PhD in physics. I developed hardware products from biotech, lasers, defense, and medical devices across the board. I always like big challenges. And I started tackling this one because of my personal experience. I was diagnosed with ADHD back in grad school. And then a few years ago, my kid was also diagnosed. And I thought that it can't be that we are relying on the opinions of a teenager to know if the medication is working. So that was the trigger to try finding objective measures in this space.
Okay. Well, let's start with the core of what makes iFocus Health so unique. Talk just a little bit now, you touched on it, but how did the idea come about and what was the moment you realized that eye tracking and AI could change the game in ADHD care?
So as I mentioned, we were looking for a measure that would be objective. Coming from hardware and physics, I knew it has to be very simple and very scalable. So it has to be something people can do from their own computer. And that's what drove us to look at eye tracking from the webcam, the same one we are using in many Zoom meetings, including this one. Then what's unique about the approach we took is we're not using eye tracking is a tool, but what we're doing is we're looking at reading processes and changes in reading process. So we're looking at a measure of a process or something everyday challenge we all tackle. And we started looking at reading because that's a struggle for many people with ADHD, even those that read well, when the content is less interesting, if it's more work related, it becomes much harder. The AI comes in here, AI is a buzzword for everyone today, but inherently what it means for our product is we're not rule-based, meaning we're not looking at if A, then B. And I think that's a good way to describe ADHD in general. It's if you look too close, it will go away. If you look at someone with ADHD for 2 minutes, you can't diagnose them. It has to be a bigger picture thing. It's more than one a measure feature. And that's why we're using AI to get this complexity into our product.
So let's talk about the objective you were mentioning earlier, bringing that to the ADHD treatment in a space that's often trial and error. How are
Yes.
clinicians responding to the platform and what kind of shifts are you seeing in patient outcomes?
So clinicians are really excited, and I have to say that was a positive response. We are three founders with a technical and business backgrounds, but we're not clinicians. We're working with leading clinicians and part of our board, but across the board, clinicians, even the best ones, know they're not mind readers. And especially they can't know what's happening at the patient's home or school. And they want these measures, especially when you talk to pediatricians and PCPs. They're really frustrated with caring for ADHD because they don't have the time or the training to really do a good job with these interviews and assessing subjective feedback. And when they have our tool, it's like working with lab work, if you want. Sending someone to get a lab work or to measure blood pressure. It's a measure. They can document it easily, takes less time, and they can do a better job. And that's where we're getting a lot of excitement from clinicians. And we have amazing feedback from patients as well. We have over 700 users today, and they finally feel they have something to look at that feels, one a parent told me, I'm afraid for medication because my kid is not a guinea pig, right? I don't want my kid to be a guinea pig. When you have these objective measure, it feels more real. It feels like you know what you're doing, which is so important.
Great, great. So I know there's been a lot of momentum lately. What's new at iFocus? Do you have any updates, partnerships, any upcoming launches you're excited to share about?
So we have many things in the pipeline. I can't share all of them. I can tell you that we do have interest from pharma companies. The innovation in pharma in this space is mostly about the delivery. So finding medication that works better throughout the day. And today, there's no good measures for that. And using iFocus, it's very easy to actually make a measurement. And we actually published a case study when we measured how medication affects me personally throughout the day. We're very careful with patients' data, and that's why uh, and it got a lot of interest because that helps them actually show where the innovation comes place in their differentiation, which is really important in the market. We also are discussing is a pilot. Actually, there's one we can share. We have a pilot in progress with a clinic in the UK for our next product, which is a screening tool. We've shown in POC that we can actually measure the difference as screening to help clinicians to know if they should refer patients for a further assessment. And we're working with this clinic to actually validate that and get more data.
Good. So I want to talk about a little about the future as our last question. ADHD is the beginning. And when you look ahead, where do you see this technology having a major impact broadly in brain?
So if you think about the crisis everyone talks about in mental health and behavior health of not having enough clinicians, think for a second, why is this happening? Right? There is more awareness and all that, and that's very important. But also, if you compare it to physical health, most of our care happens by the PCPs. In mental health, they're not able to do that because they don't have the training or the time. It's all subjective. If you can get more objective measures across the board for behavior and mental health, then you can get more people be treated well by PCPs and also identify the ones that need specialists better because they can actually see the differences. So that's the vision. And because iFocus is essentially a measure for cognition, it can go in so many directions beyond ADHD. Depression affects your cognition. Of course, neurodegenerative affects your cognition. Anywhere when you want to actually measure changes, which is so important because in the end, we want to improve our life, not some theoretical life compared to some theoretical definition. That's important for diagnosing, but if you want to measure improvement or deterioration, you want to actually see it in real life.
Well, wonderful. Well, Adi, it was just a pleasure talking with you. Congratulations on all your success and best of luck as you continue to develop iFocus going forward. Thank you very much for your time today.